right. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. My name is Chanel Bosch. I'm excited to get into what we're talking about today. We're going to be talking about having an ownership mindset over your creativity. The Q&A box is open, so feel free to drop comments in there, drop questions in there, and also to use the chat if you have any questions along the way. I'm just going to hop straight into it. So first off, a little bit about myself. My name is Chanel Bosch. I am an actress, a writer, and a coach. And what I do is I teach creatives how to gain more freedom to create and how to bypass burnout, and also how to overcome setbacks faster. So a little bit about me and how I got here. Like I said, I'm an actress. I am in Los Angeles, and I moved to Los Angeles after living in New York for several years. When I was in New York, I was working my day jobs, got really busy, really wrapped up into that. And I said, my goal was to be more creative. So I'm going to leave that and go out to LA. Big move. That's what I did. I came out to LA with the goal of working more on my craft. Now, once I got out here, of course, I still had to have day jobs. And at one point, I found myself working 4 jobs at once and still trying to do auditions, which I'm sure multiple people out there have also been in the same position where you're working, and can you guys hear me? If you can hear me, put a message in the chat, put a thumbs up. There we go. Okay. Everyone can hear me. Great. Awesome. Maybe check your sound to make sure if you're not hearing. Okay, great. So Crystal says she hears that she has so many jobs. She can understand that. Yes. So I had so many jobs and I was so tired, so exhausted, and still trying to make it all work together. And one day I was like, if I'm going to be this tired, right, doing things that don't fulfill me, and still struggling, why am I struggling so much if I'm not even doing what fulfills me? And I thought there has to be a better way. But it still took me a little time to figure out what that way was. I tried out, just leaving my day jobs and trying to figure it out, working gigs and all of this. As I started to get a handle on it, things really turned around. And for me, I was always the person who had to-do list, itineraries. I plan everything like crazy. If you're going on a trip with me, I have a whole itinerary, right? I was that person. I had sticky notes everywhere. I had all the planners. I had everything to keep myself on track. And I felt like being busy and filling my schedule was the way to go, especially as I was starting to work on my own and do less of the day job thing. A couple of years ago, things really got crazy. I got into a bunch of big life transitions. My father passed away unexpectedly. And then I had to deal with all of that stuff with his estate and just figuring everything out. After that big change, I also noticed a change in myself. I was having a hard time keeping up at my normal pace, the pace that I was used to, right? It took me a while before I realized that this was burnout. I was having a hard time keeping up and I kept feeling like I'm not doing enough. I need to do more. I need to do more. I need to do more. But that was not working. My schedule was full without it being stuff that was really filling me up in return. And I still was not managing to create at the rate that I wanted to. Once I got really clear on what it was that I was trying to do, a shift happened. I started to become more goal focused instead of just being busy and being like, let me, do the most. I started thinking about being productive rather than busy. Someone said something to me that really changed my outlook. And that was that in order to be productive, you have to produce. There has to be a product at the end of it. And when I looked back at what I was doing, I might have one product here and there, but it wasn't that much, not in comparison to how much I was working. So is there anyone that feels like yes, I have been there. I've been so busy, so tired, feels like I have no time. But when I look up, wait, I haven't really finished as much as I said I wanted to finish. I'm not any closer to my goals, right? So I realized that there was a whole different way I had to think. I had to shift my mind, right? So what I do is I work with people to implement routines, add structure into their schedules to actually give you more time back, to give you more freedom, right? Because our planners are full, yet there's no time for us. So how can we make our schedules work for us instead of us working for our schedules, us being slaves and being like just always worried and always dictated by a planner? So every person that I've worked with has actually ended up starting a business, stepping into a new leadership role, or making their way to finally leave their day job. Every single person that I've worked with, this has happened. And why is that? It's because they have a structure and they realize, they figure out how much time they've actually been wasting. They realize that they've been busy as opposed to productive, right? So I'm gonna share my screen so we can go through a couple of slides. Let's see. Can everyone see that? Put in the chat if you can see my screen. Yes, okay, awesome. So we're talking about ownership mindset, right? So something that my clients have in common, they have several things in common. One, burnout. They come to me when they are feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm at the verge of breaking down. I feel like I have no more energy to give. I have no more time to give. They're artists who are working a day job or who have recently left a day job, right? Whether they be a tattoo artist, a writer, an actor, director, or photographer. They're people who are trying to have more flexibility. These people are struggling to feel productive. They're unsure of their next steps in their creative endeavors. They're struggling to find work-life balance, and they're also high achievers and sometimes perfectionists. Can anyone else relate to those things? Yeah, okay. So, do any of these things sound like you? Now, as an actor, I can say that pretty much all of my actor friends, all of my director friends, they've all dealt with this, at least one of the things on this list from one time or another. And what I find most interesting is that these same people who are high achievers or self-described perfectionists have a few words that make them squirm. And those are the words that I want us to tackle head on, okay? Let's reframe some of these dirty words. The first one is discipline. People often associate this word with rules, rigidity. Some people might even think about punishment when they hear the word discipline. Now, to many people, they'll argue with me that art is not rigid, that it doesn't follow rules, that it breaks rules. I've often heard people say that there's no rule book to being creative or to having a creative career. And while that may be true to an extent, craft requires studying, practice, and knowledge of the guidelines. In order to break the rules, you have to know them first. So let's reframe this. Let's instead say discipline is to train oneself to do something in a habitual way. Now, wouldn't it be great if your creativity were your habit? I mean, just imagine that. If your habit, the thing that you did constantly, all the time, was be creative, instead of being tired, instead of wasting time, instead of scrolling through social media. What if your habit were creativity? What if every day you got to be creative? Think of having discipline as training yourself to be habitually creative. Now, the next bad word that we want to reframe is routine. many people hear routine and they think mundane, uninspired. But what if we can reframe that? Routine is a sequence of actions that are regularly followed, a fixed program. I want you guys to think of routine as something that you can rely on, okay? But there's so many things in life that we have no control over, whether it's you getting sick, if you have kids, your kids getting sick, last minute cancellation, your car breaking down, or even a last minute opportunity. You have no control over those things. As an actor or a writer or director or just any type of creative, you often have to rely on other people, right? You have to rely on other people to deliver their lines. You have to rely on people to hit their marks if you're the director or the cameraman. You have to rely on people to give you a job, to hire you. But if you have a routine, you can always rely on that. You can always have that to keep you set, to be an anchor. So this helps to keep you from feeling overwhelmed or getting stuck. The next bad word is structure. Structure. Simply put, whenever I bring up structure, people usually are just like, that's boring, right? It seems like it's lines, it's a little box. No one wants to be put into a box. But what if we redefine it? Structure means to construct or arrange according to a plan. It's the action of building. The action of building according to a plan, okay? What if you were doing, all that you were doing was building towards something? Everything you're doing, building towards something, towards a goal. Wouldn't it be nice to know that without a doubt, your daily tasks were actually leading you somewhere, right? As opposed to, I don't know, like driving around for hours, watching TV for hours, scrolling. What are those things building towards, right? So what if your daily tasks were actually leading you somewhere? I want to focus on the word action, because we're not talking about planning and thinking. We're talking about doing. Following a structure is active. Activity moves us forward. Damon Brown says, amateur creatives believe that structure constricts the imagination. Professionals understand that structure gives us freedom. We have to make a ton of decisions every day. And each time that we make a decision, we're using up a little bit of our energy, right? So structure helps to remove some of those decisions by acting as a skeleton for our creativity to hang on. It's kind of like the hanger. When we have structure, then we have freedom to put whatever we want on it. We can dress it up, right? So what is ownership mindset? When we speak about having ownership mindset, we're talking about shifting the way that you think and what you do. So I want you to think that your creative work is your work. A lot of times people separate those things. A lot of times people say, okay, well, I have my job, which is my work, and then I have like whatever this is. No, I want you to think of your creative work as your work. Give your work, your creative work, that same value and respect. So, ownership mindset. Ownership mindset means structuring your day in a way that fosters creativity by freeing up time, energy, and mental space. So when we look at the most successful people, they usually use routines, rituals, and repetition, okay? So, of course, we've all heard about Steve Jobs. He wore the same clothes. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he does light cardio. Anna Wintour plays tennis and has her hair blown out every day, every morning. Why? Why do these people do this? Does anyone have any ideas of why they do this? Why is it that Steve Jobs wore the same clothes, The Rock does light cardio, Anna Wintour plays tennis and has her hair blown out every single day? It's to save time. Yes, routine. The routine is to help them save time and energy by avoiding decision fatigue. It warms up their body. Consistency, self-accountability. Yes, 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 yes. Consistency, right? It's like building a muscle. So they do these things to warm up their bodies, to mentally prepare, to take care of themselves in the process. All of these people have their work and their end goals in mind, but they're also taking care of themselves. So structure gives you freedom. It gives you the freedom to focus, the freedom to create, the freedom to be a leader and have success. Now you can achieve this through routine, ritual, and boundaries. Routine prepares you personally to take on your day. It takes the guesswork out of self-care, and it helps you to raise your base operating level, okay? I want you to think about that again. It helps you to raise your base operating level. So let's go back to The Rock for a moment. I find it interesting that his morning routine is light cardio. He's one of the biggest action stars. He's incredibly fit. He's known for his large size, but he starts off his day with light cardio. Okay, we're talking about like, what's light cardio? Light cardio is like a brisk walk, right? He starts his day off with light cardio. And sure, when he's training for something specific, of course, he does his, crazy workouts and he goes harder. But every day, whether he's training for something hard, doing a hard workout or not, he starts off with light cardio. This is interesting to me because it points out one very important things. One, you don't need to go hard every single day. Most people think that they need to be doing more, going harder, like killing themselves, right? To more. But smaller, consistent actions, routines, make it so that you can go hard when you need to. They build stamina. They prepare you. They raise your base operating level. You ever notice like when you haven't been doing anything for a while, maybe you haven't had any gigs for a while, or you haven't been taking classes, and then an opportunity comes and you feel like, oh my God, I'm not exactly ready. Or you have to kind of like dust off, you have to dust off the chops, right? You have to like get yourself prepared. Or let's say, it's like, oh, you need me for this tomorrow? Oh my gosh, you have to get everything ready. You have to pull out all your equipment. You have to really get going. And it's like you're starting at zero. Like especially if you've just been sitting around, your energy is way, way low. And you have to build your energy up so that you can get everything together and then build it up again so that you can actually do the task, right? But if you go from level 1 as your base operating, and you let's raise that to a nice 5. Then when something comes along, you're not starting all the way down here at 1, you're starting here, right? So you're raising that base operating level. So much easier to start running if you already got your shoes on, right? So that's what we want to do. Then besides routine, you have ritual. Ritual shifts your focus into work. And make sure that you're ready for work so that you can be more productive and efficient. So that you're not wasting so much time, still stuck over here on what happened an hour ago. But now you're right here, you're present and ready to work. Finally, boundaries give you permission to be all in and protective of your time. Okay? They give you permission to be protective of your time and be all in. Now, when I'm working with my coaching clients, we also discuss different tools that can help break creative blocks. And those tools are things like ideation, journaling, and evaluation, okay? Those are the most important ones. Ideation provides you with an idea bank to pull from so that you can always have somewhere to start. It's like creating your own prompts, okay? How many times, if you can relate to this, put a 1 in the chat where you're like, okay, I have some free time. I'm going to be creative. I'm going to do something, right? You sit down and you can't decide where to start. You can't decide what to work on. You spend maybe 30 minutes or more going round and round and round trying to figure out where you're going to start. You say, okay, today I'm going to create some content. Today I'm going to make an Instagram post. Today I'm going to record a video. Today I'm going to write. And you sit down and you got to get everything together, right? Okay, I got a lot of ones in here. Crystal says it's like you know me. Yes, 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 yes. So when you do ideation, you have like your little idea bank that you can always pull from. And those become your own prompts. For example, let's say like if someone puts a creative person into a room and they say, hey, be creative. Chances are that person is going to be stuck, right? They're going to be like, oh my gosh. But if you put someone in a room with construction paper, a timer, and some sort of like category or theme, like, I don't know, sports or something, right? Then they're more likely to get to work immediately because now they have some parameters. They have somewhere to go. And oh my gosh, parameters, y'all. Like, what? That helps spark something. Journaling is another tool, and that helps to empty your mind, to get all the noise out so that you can have a clear head. And evaluation helps you to improve. It helps you to determine what is and what isn't working so that you can make changes or so that you can repeat the action, the thing that worked, right? That is a step that so many of us forget. We do something, we don't think much of it, it goes well, and then we're like, oh shoot, why did that work so well? We have an audition, we feel like, oh, that was a great audition. And then we can't remember how, and we're afraid we can't replicate it for the callback. Evaluation helps us to make sure that we're taking the time to slow down and make note of what worked and what didn't. Now, you may have tried some of these things before, but most times, I can tell you, most times, people only do one of these things inconsistently. Now, if they do multiple of these, if they have tried multiple of these, they try to make too many changes all at once. And again, they end up doing that inconsistently. So these things have to build onto one another to really, really see a result. So I want you guys to think, you are the CEO of you. You are the CEO of you, right? You are the business. Give yourself permission to lead. A ritual should reflect your core values, the core values of the business. Okay. Since your business is a business of one, what are your core values? A lot of us never think about that. What are your core values? So when we talk about large businesses, corporations, startups, tech startups, we often hear people talk about the culture. A ritual strengthens that. Now, my favorite example of a ritual that strengthens core values is actually Dropbox, the company Dropbox. Whenever they bring on a new employee, the new hire receives a special delivery, and it just shows up on their doorstep, no label, this really beautiful box. And all it has is a smiley face on the outside. When they open up the box, there's the ingredients to make a cupcake. And this ritual reflects Dropbox's value of fun and delight. Another example of a ritual that reflects your values is a client of mine. She had the value of nurturing, right? So she figured out, what can she do for nurturing? Ritual is special. The benefits of having a ritual is that it provides us with vitality. Okay, while routine grounds us, ritual is special, and the specialness of it vitalizes us. It also helps you to be focused. Ritual is specifically used to shift your focus to where it's needed most. And the goal is to create a ritual that can be used to shift your focus into work mode. So how do you create a ritual? It has to follow a script. This is something that's predetermined, a predetermined sequence with repetition, whether it be the time, the day, the place, the order. So for example, let's say in corporate America, we'll use like a corporate job. And every Wednesday, you guys have your team meeting. Before your team meeting, you all go to the coffee shop at the same exact time and get your coffee every single Wednesday, 9 a.m. This is a ritual as opposed to a routine because it's the exact same. It's something that helps you to kickstart that meeting, right? It gets you prepared to go into your meeting. A ritual is meaningful. The action is more meaningful than the habit. So it's a part of a larger system or meaning or symbolism. So for example, a cupcake symbolizes fun. And it might even be a little bit irrational. So it lacks instrumental purpose in that it doesn't appear to be directly related to the goal. So sending an unlabeled box with cupcake ingredients doesn't seem to really go with Dropbox, which is a tech company, right? Like, what is that? But it symbolizes fun. So one of my clients who has a consulting business, her core values when she, was talking about what it is that's really important to her setting up this business, it was important for her that the culture reflects that each idea can be good with some nurturing. She valued constructive and positive feedback, even when it hurts, and was hoping to provide that to clients. She valued genuine kindness as opposed to being friendly just for the sake of being nice. So the ritual that she came up with was to pick up trash in her neighborhood prior to her work hours. So picking up trash does not seem to be related at all to consulting business. But for her, it was a way to show nurturing, to get her in that mindset of taking care of something, of genuinely being kind, of being constructive, being positive, putting a positive influence out. So every day before her work hours, before the time that she had carved out to dedicate to this business, she had a special vest that she would put on. She had a special bucket and a special little trash picker that she would use. And she would go and walk through her neighborhood, the same route, right? Because again, it's the same things being repeatable, repetition. So she would walk the same route. And it almost became kind of like meditation. And that was to switch her mind off from whatever she was doing before to this new work. Now, this person also works a regular day job working for someone else. So usually she'd be working on her consulting business either before heading into work or after. She also did some freelance work as well for different film productions. So this ritual, helped her to switch her brain from either her day job to her consulting, to really focus in on her clients. Does that make sense? Does anyone, if you have any questions or if this doesn't make sense or I'm going too fast, just let me know. So the tip to remember, the thing to take away is that instrumental thinking is doing things rationally and related to your goals versus ritualistic thinking, which is doing something that doesn't make logical sense, but that we've accepted as important. So that's something else. The ritual is for you, right? It's something that you have accepted as important, something that makes sense for you. It doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. So what are your core values? I want to take some time to see if we can do this now, like live, right? What are your core values? choose three things that really are important to you. So back from my example, nurturing, constructive and positive, and genuine. Those were the core values of my client. What are your core values? Think about the work you do. If you're an actor, like I know me as an actor, I want to bring joy and sunshine into the room. That's my thing is to leave the room happier than when I entered. I want the people in the room to be happier than when I entered. Now that's a tall order sometimes, but that's my goal. That's one of my core values, is to spread joy through my acting. Another value is to be positive, like things that are positive and things that also reflect the world around us. Those are things that are really important to me. Stuff that is diverse, reflects the world around us, is positive, and brings joy. So think about those things and choose three things, three core values. Ooh, these are good. Okay. Authenticity, kindness, healing, integrity, positivity, and growth. I love these. Okay. Try to see if you can state these values in a mission statement. That makes it even stronger, because when you can say your core values in like a mission statement, it really is like you're speaking to yourself, right? So when we have just the words, that's really great for like affirmations, for like posting them around. But when we can come up with a mission statement, it's almost like something that we can check in with ourselves, right? And we can say, is this feeding into my mission statement? So one of the mission statements that I have personally with my family is actually to uncomplicate things, to keep things less complicated. So whenever I'm trying to make a decision, or whenever something pops up, someone wants me to do something, or, you know, my husband and I are trying to make a decision, we'll say, does this complicate things, right? Because it's that mission statement. Our mission is to have an uncomplicated life. Crystal, my mission is to create joy, empathy, and for people to be seen. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay. So now, based off of these core values that you came up with, Teresa, empathy, versatility, and safety. Safety, I like that one. That's, okay, I like that. Okay. So based off of these core values that you came up with, brainstorm some potential pre-work rituals. Okay. Select a few things that excite you and test them out. So let's brainstorm some together. If someone wants to brainstorm with me, actually here, I'll pick one. Let's go with Rochelle, since you're the first person who sent yours. Rochelle, if you can put in the chat what it is that you do. I'm not sure if you're an actor or writer. Put in the chat what it is you do. If you can tell me a little bit more about your core values and what ways do you hope to be authentic, kind, or healing? And if you have any rituals that come to mind based off of those, put it in the chat. Or anyone, actually, whoever wants to jump in can jump in. Rochelle, okay, I provide herbal teas and capsules. Ooh, okay. Oh, that makes sense with the healing. Okay. So what is something that you could do before you get into work that will tap you into that? So I'm going to make a guess that you have to, part of your work is fulfilling orders, maybe sourcing the tea or sampling correct? On a regular work day. Okay. So before you're getting into that, something that could potentially tap you in to healing, maybe meditation. Maybe it should be something that's active. We want something really active. So maybe even like, you can't do this every time before you work, but meditation. Yay. Okay. You love meditation. Awesome. So meditation will be good, but how do we take meditation from being routine to being a ritual, right? How can we elevate that? So maybe you have a specific corner. Maybe there's a specific meditation that you'll do only before starting work, as opposed to just quiet mind meditation. Maybe you'll meditate on a certain phrase, and you will light a certain candle and sit in your window a certain way with the same cup, right? Like I have this glass. I like to use this glass whenever I'm doing Zoom, actually. I use this glass every time. So what is something that how can you make your meditation more special and more ritualistic? Okay. Does this make sense to everyone so far? And if anyone else has any ideas, brainstorming ideas, put them in the chat as well. And just to give you some more examples. So the person who decided to pick up trash. Okay, she tried multiple things. She tried a bird feeder, right? And she got this bird feeder and she would go out, fill it up with food. She didn't put too much because she did this every day. So she would put a little bit of food and she would go out and sit and watch the birds for 10 minutes every day. She tried that. She tried taking the projects that she had worked on that she had completed the day before. She would shred them before starting next day's work. So this is something that's that she could do all the time. And from trying out all those different things, she found that the trash one felt more authentic. Okay. Earphone, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, ask, if my routine in the morning is working out, how would I make that a ritual? So routine and ritual are a little bit different. So routine of working out, that can stay the same, right? It's not about what you're doing in your morning. The morning routine is something that's going to get you prepared. That jumpstarts your day. That helps to raise your base level of operation, okay? Get you like awake pretty much. It's like turning on the car and letting it warm up. As opposed to your ritual, this is a pre-work ritual. So it's specific what you're going to do before you get into your work. So you would add something on this, and this will be based off of your core values for your work. So does that make sense? Did I answer your question? Okay. So remember, these can change over time and they can grow with you. And they can grow with your business too, whether it's a business of one, if it's just you, or if you eventually have employees. So this person with the consulting business, it's just them, but eventually their big overarching goal is to add employees and grow into a company. So for example, how can they change their thing over time? Trash pickup can grow into monthly company pickup days. It can grow into adopting a street or a neighborhood beautification project, which might include painting murals, right? It can grow into a challenge or a contest. It can grow into other volunteer opportunities. So let's go back and taking the meditation thing. How can that grow over time or change over time? It can be that you change your location, right? Now, maybe you take a walk. So if there's a park nearby, you take a walk to that park, you meditate in the park for 10 minutes, you come home. That's a way that it can grow. Maybe if your herbal company grows and you get employees, you guys meditate together before starting the day. Any more questions? Yay, Rochelle, love it. Yes. Okay. Does anyone else have any ideas of like what their rituals could be? I would love to help everyone come up with something to try out, to test out. And also I want to know, does anyone already have stuff that they do right before work that's like a ritual? Now that we know the difference between a routine and a ritual, yoga poses for empathy. Ooh, I like that. I like that. I like that. So now that we know the difference between a routine and a ritual, I'm wondering how many people have a routine, how many people have a ritual, and how many people actually might have both. If you think that you already have a routine that you do consistently, put a 1. If you have something that you are doing before work every day or every time you get ready to work, put a 2. And if you're doing both, if you have a routine and you also have a ritual that's different, that gets you prepared for work, put a 3. I'm curious. 1, okay. 2, Crystal has a ritual. Crystal, what is your ritual? Yours is the yoga poses. I love it. Okay. Awesome. You're not sure if it's working. Okay, so then that's where evaluation comes into play, right? So, Crystal, I'm curious, why are you not sure? I have one yet, but I need one. Because, so if you're not sure if it's working, so that's awesome that you said that. So, like going back to the example of the person picking up trash, because I'm inconsistent. Woo! Yes. Okay, because you're inconsistent. Look, it's gonna happen. We're gonna be inconsistent from time to time. We're gonna feel stressed. We're gonna feel burnt out from time to time. It is destined to happen, but we have to have tools to get back on track, right? This is where routine kind of picks you back up and gets you back in here. So I know we're talking about ritual tonight, but routine will help you because, again, you're raising that base operating, right? And also the other thing that really, really helps to be consistent is to have a clear goal, a very crystal clear goal. And when I say a clear goal, I'm talking about like, you can see it, you can taste it, you know how it feels, clear. A lot of times people say like stuff is not very specific. For example, I had someone tell me one time they wanted to make more blog posts. Why? Why do you want to post more blogs? Well, once we kept talking, turns out the person actually wanted to be a New York Times bestseller, right? That's the real goal. That's the actual goal. These random blog posts were not building. It was just a thing, an arbitrary thing. So when our goal is so specific, it helps us to be more consistent. When the mission statement is really clear, again, like I said, you can check in. Does this feed into my mission? Does this reflect my values? And that'll help you to be more consistent. The other thing too is if it's not working, if you're like, okay, Chanel, my goal is clear. I know my values. I'm just not feeling it. This is a great time to evaluate. Why aren't you feeling it? Okay, if it's just because you're being inconsistent, cool. Maybe you need to like, I don't know, ruffle yourself up and like get to it. But maybe there's something below that. Why are you being inconsistent? Is it because this doesn't actually fire you up? Is it because it doesn't actually excite you, right? How can we make it something that's exciting us? Maybe it's not actually tapping into that empathy enough. I'm trying to see, what else did you say? Joy, empathy, and for people to be seen. Maybe you want to try to tap into something different, like joy, or for people to be seen. Maybe you want to tap into one of those instead. Maybe you want to figure out a different way to be empathetic, right? So, I'm trying to think of something that you could do every single day. For joy, maybe let's try tapping into joy instead. How is it that you want to provide joy for others? What gives you joy, right? It could be a nice cup of tea every morning. And then you just make that very specific. How exactly am I making the tea? Is it a specific cup? Do I enjoy having the same tea every single morning, right? Do I use the same mug, same spoon, very consistent every single time, right? And does that spark joy for me? Maybe that's something to try. So, Crystal, I challenge you to brainstorm a couple of other ways that you can tap into those values. Brainstorm some, try some other ones out. It's okay if it doesn't work. And also, that's the other thing. Sometimes stuff will work for a while and then it won't, because it needs to be changed. It needs to be like spiced up a little bit. But when we evaluate and when we take a moment to check in and be honest and be like, okay, this is not working, then we can improve upon it. And through doing this, you have more time in your schedule, right? You have more time because you're turning that switch, flipping that switch, and getting into it faster. Yeah. Okay. So besides being inconsistent, is there anything else that you think is not, why it's not working for you, Crystal? Is it because you don't actually feel empathetic when you're doing it? Is it because it's just too abstract? I'm really curious there. Yeah. Are there any questions? Any other questions? We're coming up on our time shortly. I think you hit it on the head. It's not sparking anything within me. Yeah, it's really important that we are not doing things arbitrarily, that we're not doing things just to be doing them. How many people feel like they're supposed to be doing more, or, every day, right? You feel like you're supposed to be doing more every day. Yeah. Because so many things have told us that. But if it's not building towards anything, then what is the point? What is the point of it, right? We don't want to be busy. We want to be productive. I feel like there's 3 levels. There's busy, which is the lowest one down here, which is when you're just doing things. Your time is just full. You don't even have a moment to think, right? It's almost like, I don't know, like you're constantly chasing your tail. Then there's the next level, which is productive, which is you're actually getting something done. You're actually having a result. And then there's efficient, which is the highest level. And that's being productive, but with less error. That's being productive. The quality and the amount of time that it takes are, as the quality is going up, the amount of time it takes is going down, right? Being efficient. That's where we're trying to get to. And how do we do that is by not wasting time. How many people feel like they struggle to get started, like to get creative? Like when you sit down, when you're like, okay, all right, I got 3 hours. I'm going to work on my stuff. Do you feel like you know exactly what you're doing in the day? Or is it kind of like, oh, now it's time to figure it out. Now that the time is here. Now let's see what we're doing, right? You want to figure it out ahead of time. You don't want to start from zero. It's not like, okay, I know what used to happen to me is it'd be like, okay, this is my day off. This is my day off from work. Tomorrow is going to be my day off. I'm going to be creative. Tomorrow comes. I am dragging my butt, getting out of bed, being slow. Finally get up. I'm like, okay, now I'm going to work on this. But I don't have any plan. And part of the reason I don't have a plan is because I don't actually have a concrete goal. My goal before was just like, be a working actor. But what does that mean? Right? What does that mean? Be successful. What does that mean? What does that look like? What does that feel like? What is success for me? Success for me might be different than success for Rochelle. I have to know what it is for me, right? Or get fit, be healthy. These are all types of goals that we hear. Be healthy. Okay, what does that mean? Maybe for me, being fit and being healthy means I am in Mexico on the beach in a 2-piece, I don't care. I'm just like living my best life. I'm doing, running up and down the beach, right? Maybe that's being fit and being healthy. Maybe for someone else, it's competing in a marathon. Maybe for someone else, it is simply eating more vegetables, right? It's different for every person. So you have to be really clear on it. And then your routine, the thing that you're doing every day, it's regardless of if you're going to work, regardless of if it's the weekend, you do the same thing every single morning. So for me, when I was really struggling with this, I kid you not, I said, you know what? Every single morning, I'm tired. I would pick up my phone all the time and look at my phone. No, I don't want to touch my phone. Before I can touch my phone, I have to get up, make my bed. That means I have to get out of bed immediately, make the bed, then brush my teeth, wash my face, drink a glass of water. Then I can touch my phone, right? I did that for 90 days straight, being my routine. Clear, that was the routine. Eventually I added to it. That was the thing. And the reason was because it stopped me from doing that thing that I didn't want. It got me started. It also forced me to get out of bed. And this was on days when, after I had left my day jobs and I wasn't necessarily working on any project and I didn't have a clear goal. And I was just kind of like letting time go and waiting for something to happen. And so I didn't have a reason to get up out of the bed. Well, now my reason became, I want to look at my phone, right? I want to look at my phone. But once I'm up, it's going to lead me. It's already raised my base operating. So then when the opportunity comes, when someone calls me with an audition, when I'm like, you know what, I'm up, I'm moving now I'm going to just grab my laptop and start writing, right? Now I'm going to sit down and make a post or whatever have you. So for me, it was getting up and getting started, because the thing that I struggled with specifically was spending too much time kind of being lazy in the bed. So what's the thing that you want to change, that you want to shift when you evaluate? So you said the yoga is not sparking anything in you, so you're inconsistent. So, okay, let's change that. What's something that we want to, how am I feeling when I'm doing these poses? Am I feeling kind of like, I'm bored, I want to get through it? I know I've done that sometimes with workouts. I start out doing the workout and then I'm thinking about something else. And then next thing I know, I'm not really doing it. And then I'm like, I'll end early. I did a couple of stretches, it's fine, right? So that's where you want to evaluate, and you want to think, okay, what is it that I'm trying to correct or improve upon? I feel like I'm doing it just to do it. So then don't do it anymore. Don't do it anymore, Crystal. If you're doing it just to do it, don't do it anymore. Let's think of something else that you can do. Let's think of something else that's going to give you what you were intending to have from that yoga, because the yoga is not doing it, right? The yoga is not giving it to you. So the intention was there, but it's not working. Is it because that doesn't actually build towards your goal? Is it because, it's really hard to tap into empathy, right? So maybe we need to find another phrase, another word for empathy. So I want you to think on that. Yeah, I want you to think on that. Matter of fact, think on it. You guys, okay, we're at our time. We're at our time. I got really fired up. I want you to think on that, Crystal, for real, because I know that you can come to something that's going to spark joy for you, because you immediately gave me a mission statement, right? So let's tweak it. Let's get something going. Okay. All right. So that's the end of I'm at the end of my time. But I want you guys to just think about this over the next few days, what your core values are and how can you put that into a ritual? Remember the difference between routine and ritual. Ritual is special. Ritual does not necessarily seem to align or make sense. It's not logical. It can be something random, but that sparks that thing for you, that helps to hook you in to whatever that core value is, okay? Now, again, most important thing is that we want all these things to be done together. Of course, I know we only hit on one thing today, but there's a couple things that I go over: routines, ritual, boundaries, creating your idea bank, journaling and evaluation, and really learning how to ask yourself the right questions. Okay, yeah, I see it's put in the chat. I'm gonna have another class coming up in November. And in that, I will dive more into some of those, especially goal setting, because all of it comes from your goals, right? So I'll dive into that more. Again, this is what I talk about with my clients. And they're saying they feel less cluttered. I feel less cluttered in my mind because there's clear direction as to what I'm doing. I've grown further with my evaluation and reflection, which has helped me with my growth. And I've come to learn how to separate personal life from work, and it's accepting that my creative work is my work. Okay, guys, thank you all for joining me. I hope to see some of you in November as well, where we will dive into these things even deeper. We'll really talk about setting goals. I want to help you to create clear, concise goals and be more productive and be more efficient, because I know that everyone in here is creative and you have something that you want to do, or else you wouldn't have tuned in tonight. So, you know, I want to help you get there. So I hope that you'll join me in November. Feel free to find me on social media. I'm primarily on Instagram at Chanel Bosch, just my first and my last name. And send me a message as you guys are thinking about this week. You're thinking about your core values and you're thinking about your rituals. Send me a message and let's see if we can iron it out and make it really crystal clear for you. Again, thank you so much for joining, and I hope you have a great night. See you guys in November.